honest, this is like the quickest we've gotten our shit together since we started this.
And we're both in a cozy sweater. It's
Oh
perfect.
yeah. You know what? I thought about getting out of my like daytime pajamas, and then I was like, no, I'm really comfortable. This is where we're at. This is
Yes- Yesterday was so like it was like warm to hot, and then today it like plummeted again. So we're in the sweaters. They're not going away until at least I say that I ever like truly put them away. I always keep them out in rotation. I'll wear them a lot at nighttime and in bed. So they're not really going anywhere. But
yeah,
today we're out.
I get
So
that. Hi. So
so yes. So
cool.
yeah,
You
it
and
is.
me. You and me today.
It's you and me, and we're gonna be. You know what we're gonna be? We're gonna be well behaved. We're going to be focused. We're going to be on target and on track and
Mhm.
on topic today.
You're
Um,
so good at that.
what I'm going to say is this. I'm going to set an intention
Okay.
that we are expedient and um, economical with our time, and we're going to be on track because I've been the past 2 days I've been in the car. I've been traveling. I just got home 2 hours ago, and so I want to be able to spend a little bit of time with my family before everyone is in bed because it's already 9 o'clock. So I can't be on for an hour plus today. So
Okay.
we're setting the intention to be focused. And I will say, spoiler alert, that I think on my part I'm going to be able to do. Generally, there's 1/3 of us missing, so ideally 1/3 less conversation going to be happening. And on my part, even less because I found that I couldn't say a lot in general about my listening experience this week.
Okay.
And so as we talk, we'll kind of see what that develops to be. But yes. So introducing Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Yes.
I would say most people know Joan Jett at the very least. The Blackhearts are an American rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1979. And what are your first thoughts? Like, what are your initial thoughts? Have you heard a lot of Joan Jett in the past? What was your experience this week like?
Yeah.
What was your kind of immediate instinct?
So, of course I know Joan Jett, but really only her like popular stuff. And what was interesting when I was putting this list of songs together is a lot of the stuff that we know, or that I had known, was covers. So
Which
like,
surprised me. I didn't realize that until you told me that.
yeah. So I Love Rock and Roll apparently is a cover, and that's why it
Okay.
did not make it onto this set list for this week.
Yeah.
Because I
Whose song is that?
focused.
And I feels like a
I have to
poser.
go back and look, but
I'll look it up.
Crimson and Clover is another one that's super super popular that they do, which again is a cover. And I actually went through kind of the list and was like looking at, okay, what are their songs, because I wanted to get their art and not art that they had covered from somebody else, so we could get like a picture of specifically their information. So that was kind of interesting to me.
It
That
was the Arrows. The Arrows wrote that song in 75, and then it's kind of like Whitney Houston covering Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You. Like some people
yeah,
don't know. And it's
yeah. And
she
then
kind of
it became the version of the song.
it eclipsed the original because everyone's like, who are the Arrows? Which, sorry, once again, there's probably what if they might be huge. I don't know who they are. I'm really sorry for the people that are on. Anyone that's a major like Arrows lover and is offended by that, I'm really
All
sorry.
five of you. Wait, is it only four? Because I think you count as one. Anyways,
I don't know, but anyway, for any Arrows lovers out there, I'm not trying to insult, but I didn't know that either. That's so interesting.
yeah. So that's why the set list came together the way it did. Because I know immediately after I posted it, you messaged me and you're like, "What the hell? Where is this?" You didn't say those words, but
I just said I was like, I'm just surprised that a lot of these other hits are on this list, and you were like, they're all covers, bitch, and I
they're
just
all
didn't know.
covers. So
I
that
didn't.
was yeah, yeah, and serendipity. I agree. I feel like bands did do more covers. The Beatles did a lot of covers on their first one, and obviously a lot of covers from Black artists specifically, which is kind of like a different subject. But yeah, in the oldies, as I'm going to call them, a lot of covers were
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for validating me, Val, that you don't know who they are. Sorry, they're okay, great. So at least the three of us don't know. So
yes.
but yeah,
So
what's your first besides like yeah,
okay.
besides all that, like what was your
Yeah.
sort of like your
So
first listen throughs like in your first take? That's what I meant to
yes.
say.
So overall, I like we've talked about before, I'm a pop punk girly. And so to me, this is just fun to listen to. We're not talking about like Jeff Rickley lyrics here. Like it is very simple, to the point of maybe being like a little bit trite. But like honestly, I just kind of want to dance around to it and maybe scream my lungs out. I want to put it on a road trip, or like a house cleaning playlist, but I'm not gonna like sit and like ponder over the depth of the lyrics. But it's just to me, it's just fun, simple and fun.
Mhm.
So I genuinely enjoyed this week, personally.
Mhm.
Now I know you and I
Yeah.
do not have similar music tastes, so let's
I
hear it.
I really, really struggled with a lot of this.
Mm,
And I have some, and so a lot of my, we're going to see a lot of my breakdowns of each song. A lot of my complaints are, it's kind of like, it might kind of get a little like redundant because I'm kind of just, I guess in the nature of Joan Jett, I'm just sort of like doing the same, that maybe that was maybe a little rude, but I'm trying to make a joke. I think kind of is really similar because a lot of the songs I had the same recurring issues with.
mhm,
The one thing I'll say, okay, let me I'll start briefly with kind of like what I had a hard time with.
mhm,
So classic rock isn't really my genre anyway, because I find that a lot of it has the same kind of my same kind of complaints. I'm
mhm,
glad you pointed out the lyrics. Like the lyrics really were, yeah, there was nothing to really and not that every song needs to be analyzed, but there wasn't any like, and not everyone has to be Jeff Rickley, but like there's no like poetry in any of the lyrics, right? It was like you did me wrong, and now I don't like that, or let's go dance, and I love the guitar, right? They
mhm.
were very very now,
I saw that.
they were very yeah, they just sort of had no real poetry to them. Like that, the lyrics aren't the point of the music, is
Yep.
probably it. It's probably not the point or the feature.
Mhm,
Um, and a big problem that it's funny that you said I want to dance around a lot of them, because one of the things that I was a recurring theme for me in each of these songs was that I found tempo problems. All the songs had like a middling tempo where they weren't slow enough to be a ballad, but like fast enough to be like kind of like a jump around punk kind of song. So much that, spoiler, I went through and I broke down the BPMs of all the songs that I had problems with, and there's a string of why when we get to it. But if I have to say something that I really, really appreciate, I really like Joan Jett's vocals, and I know I'm always talking
mhm.
about vocals.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how she truly, just hearing her sing, she truly set the trail for so many women in like punk rock to follow
Mhm,
her. Um, like you're gonna hear me say all throughout this that like Courtney Love, Brody Daly, like all of these, like so Hole and the Distillers and all these other kind of bands really having this quality of voice that I, clearly were looking to Joan Jett for that inspiration. So
mhm,
I love her, like the sound of her voice. But the individual, like I usually like my music to have more going on.
mhm.
And so this was my favorite listen because like you even kind of had a complaint, I think last week or the week before, about the
Had a
music
lot of
feeling
complaints last
a
week.
little, the music feeling a little thin, and that's what I felt about this. I felt like
Mhm.
there wasn't a lot going
Yeah.
on. The core progressions were really like simple and repetitive, and like
Mhm,
maybe like with what's I always kind of say that I'm not like a music theory expert. There could be an expert out there that's like, she's simple chord progressions, you're fucking crazy, you don't know what you're listening to, and that might be the case. But I just found that every time I would be like, okay, well, this one wasn't my favorite. Maybe the next one will be. Maybe the next one
mhm,
will be. And I continue to have the same kind of problems.
mhm.
So I guess let's just sort of jump right in, right? With like, I don't know, like the first one, right?
Yep.
Which was Bad Reputation. I'll start off. Listen, who doesn't love this song? This was probably, I mean, I know it's maybe corny because it's like of all of these the biggest hit, but it's my favorite of all of them. It's the queen of like the bad girl movie montage song. And it's the only song that's above 200 BPMs. Like it has the most energy. And I know because I looked them all up because that was my problem was the tempo and all these songs. And so like I think the BPM was 206 BPM. And so it's truly like this faster punk song. And maybe it's because I've heard it a billion times in my life, and that's kind of like the repetition is familiarity breeds like, you can't.
Sorry. I just did Shrek.
Was it in a montage in Shrek? I've seen Shrek, but I haven't seen it like some major Shrek lovers. Was it in a montage in Shrek? I would totally believe you.
I don't know if it was a montage, but I do have a memory of it now that it's been brought up that it was in Shrek.
Now let me kind of Google. Is it like, all right? It's got to be a bad girl montage, right? Like, is it a Fiona montage? It has to be.
I don't know.
Shrek, bad reputation. Oh, I think it's a sequel.
Oh, that could be.
Wait. It was
The
oh no,
wrestling scene.
it was in the first movie when they
Okay.
went to
Yes.
Duloc and they fought
Yes.
the knights and the mercenaries. That's great.
Look,
So it
Shrek
was
soundtracks, and we can talk another time about the whole like Shrek and MCR timeline theories.
yeah.
Different topic, but Shrek had a solid soundtrack. I'm just gonna say that. They had
Shrek's a great movie.
great.
It's a great
It
movie.
actually is. Actually, I liked all of them.
It's like a perfect movie.
Or
It's
the three that I saw.
The Shrek of it all aside, if you were to complain about it, it's got the perfect like all the story beats of the hero's journey. I mean, it's a flawless storyline. It's thousands of years old and it works, and it works even when the lead character is an ogre. Anyway, it all went downhill from here because it was my favorite song, and it could just be because I've heard it a billion times in my life, and so I like it because I'm familiar with it.
Mhm.
But it was fast paced, had a lot of energy. We had some really great like vocal kind of like screaming kind of moments, and that's a song that I can't not like want to move around to. So yeah, we started off really strong with that one for me. So I like that one.
I did put that one on the list first because of the fact that it was the one that we would all know.
Yeah.
For everyone who joined late, Trevor is sick and cannot make it. That is why he is not here today. So we hope that he gets better. He said he had a fever. Not good. Anyways, so Bad Reputation. I wrote the most about this song because I got a little bit of I nerd sniped a little bit on this one. Because so my original notes, and I might just read them or something like that, but we'll see if I like make this more conversational. But I said, okay, it's a classic punk song. We all know it. It's been covered a million times, and like it's pretty much seared into our brain. Like we all know this song. If we grew up 80s, 90s, 2000s, we know it. It was in Shrek.
Yeah.
And
And
so
we've seen
Shrek. And so I really spent some time on this one because I think that the familiarity of it kind of makes it easy to just kind of take this song at face value and like not think too hard about it. Especially now that it's almost been 50 years since it came out. But I started kind of thinking about this song in the context at which it was written. So it was written in 1979. Joan herself was born in 1958. So she was around 21-ish at this time. And between 1958 and 1979 was such a pivotal time in women's history. The Feminine Mystique came out in 1963 and kind of ignited second wave feminism. And within the next 16 years until this song came out, like the whole world changed for women. And we went from this society that was very like harsh and put women in really, really tight little boxes where your reputation was king, like queen. It was very much like your social capital, particularly in regard to sex. And so if you strayed outside of those societal lines, you were like judged, shunned, treated like shit. And so I think that, as you think about this girl growing up during this time period and how much that matters. And then you listen to the lyrics of this song where it's saying things like, you're living in the past, it's a new generation, a girl can do what she wants to do, and that's what I'm going to do. It takes it from being this kind of like well-known, like very, sort of like almost a joke at this point, where we're kind of like, oh, ha 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 ha, like
We take it for
power
granted
anthem.
now. We
We
take
take
that
it
for
for
granted now.
granted.
The ability for a woman to be able to say, I don't I don't care
I'm
about
just
living
going to
in
do what I
silver.
want to do. And
Yeah.
so like I can absolutely picture this being the song that she's singing to that previous generation, that's saying, hey, like, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I don't care what you have to say about it, because she's grown up in this context. So
Mhm.
to me, that kind of takes it from being this like kind of simple and like fun little punk jam that I think of it as now, to actually it was like a really super powerful feminist anthem. And so I gave it a 10 out of 10, and I said, hell yeah, Joan Jett, you get it. So that was
Good
my,
for her.
I literally I was having fun last night. I just started like looking it up and looking up the dates, and like, things like yeah, just really like in putting it into context for me, it took it just, yeah, from being kind of this song that I just knew so well to like, oh shit, like this is
Yeah.
actually really, for how
Yeah.
simple it is, and how, again, almost trite the lyrics are. There we go. English is hard. Um
Like we
it's
exist
actually
in the
really powerful.
context of which we are and all that
Yes.
came before us, right? I mean, we have to think
Yes.
about when the song's written and why and what was going
Yeah.
on and what
And
culture
so,
was like.
yeah, it's funny because Pandal said something about it being punk, and I did write. This is the punkiest of punk anthems because it embodies the punk ideals of anti-establishment and individual freedom. So
Yeah. I
I
think
had a
it is
lot
the
of thoughts on that
punkiest.
one.
I think it is the punkiest of all the songs. Like I think that
Yes.
of all of them, that's the most punk energy. Everything else I think kind of falls into like more kind of like classic rock territory.
Pop punk, like early
Maybe
pop punk,
yeah. Yeah. Or yeah, early
depending
pop
on the
punk.
song. But yeah,
Yeah. Um yeah, great. Cool. Um
that was the longest bit that I wrote. Everything else will go quicker, but I had the
Yeah,
most to
a
think
lot
about.
of I will say a lot of this for me is quick. Like I said, like a lot of these things, you're gonna hear me kind of like say multiple times. And I will say I listened to this multiple times, and I would even like go into it and listen and say, okay, well, think like let's really put our thinking caps on and really kind of like dig into what there is to dig into and have some more thoughts, like use your brain, right? And
Mhm.
I would feel like the song would be like almost over, and I would say there's nothing that I really have to say about it.
Yeah.
So no, nothing that I hadn't already said before. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, so yeah, let's move on to victim of circumstance. Why don't you start with this one?
Okay. So I thought this was interesting because it almost sounds like a sequel to Bad Reputation. So it was
Okay.
interesting to me that it was like second, like it was right after that, which was totally unintentional.
Uh-huh.
Um, because in the song she actually says like, I think she says, I'm just a victim of a bad reputation. I got no
I
chance of
think,
shaking. So
yeah, yeah. I think it's on the same. It's on the same album, I think, right? I believe
no,
it's.
I think it's just different albums, but
Is
maybe it
it?
was.
I remember hearing that in the lyrics as well, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's a fun callback, like to another song or to a song earlier in the same record." But yeah, I did catch that too. I thought that was a fun a little wink and a nod.
Yeah.
Um,
So like she's, kind of in this song, she's experiencing some of those consequences that like the previous generation had warned her about,
yeah,
like being laughed at and shut out. But it also sounds to me like she still doesn't have any regrets. So she's still saying like, hey, yeah, you know, I have a bad reputation, and she's a victim of it, which I thought was interesting wordings. But I couldn't really connect much more of that because again, the lyrics were very simple, and always a little repetitive. But overall, to me, it was a fun song. I
mhm.
liked the whole guitar breakdown bit in the like kind of bridge breakdown. I never know the
Yeah,
right word for these things. Reminds me a lot of like some of my chem stuff, like kind of their teenagers, famous last words, other sort of like Ray solos in the song there. Maybe like Boy Division, things like that. So I give it an 8 out of 10. Again, fun song.
yeah. I happen to also highlight the guitar solos that they kind of gave the song a lot more of a classic rock sound. We had
Mhm.
like a distinct like guitar solo moment and like this kind of transition bridge moment, which not every song had. So and I love a little guitar solo, so it always kind of sticks out to me when it occurs. then I happen to mention again that specifically in this song, I mean, a lot of them, but really in this one, was another really great example of Joan Jett having a lot more of that kind of fry aspect of her vocals,
Mhm.
that kind of rough route, on the
Yeah,
on
real
the ice
gritty.
vocal that wasn't, yeah, that's grit that wasn't really concerned so much with like being with like certain notes or certain pitches, and not to imply that that sounds bad, but the focus was this kind of grit sound, and I once again I wrote that it reminds me, her voice in this reminds me a lot of like Courtney Love or Brody Daly, or at least they remind me of her, right? Like they
Yeah.
kind of they were
They fell
successors of
apart.
her
Yeah.
vocally. So I thought that once again the vocals was a really big highlight of this. Her vocals sound really cool in this one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot to sort of say about the lyrics specifically, and I also highlighted that the guitars were a cool little feature of this one. Um, so yeah, that was all I had for that one.
Okay.
So the next one is Make the Music Go Boom. So
Mhm.
I'll start with this one.
Yep.
I was surprised to see, so this one came out in 2023,
Mhm.
and I was surprised to see that they were still making music. I mean, it's like, yes, anyone that's like opening for My Chem obviously is still a band because they're
Yeah.
playing this summer.
Yeah.
So
Still
yes,
together
I
at some
knew
point.
that they were at least active in some way, but I didn't know they were making albums as recently as 2023.
Mhm.
So it's like, and then obviously there's other songs later on here that are also newer, but this is the first time where I was like, it's kind of crazy to think of Joan Jett as existing anytime outside of the 80s. Like that's kind of to me like the Joan Jett era is like the
Yeah.
80s punk, like
For sure.
like women in rock and setting, trailblazing a lot of that. It's just sort of interesting because there's even a song later on that like came out in the 90s. Like that almost feels strange that there's like 90s Joan Jett than there is like 2023 Joan Jett. Um, I also looked at the tempo of this one. This had tempo was a little higher on because I was like this was a little bit different as well.
Yeah.
I did not listen to all of these in order, and so I said this is a little faster tempo than some of the other songs, and I think it was like 166, so still significantly slower than Bad Reputation, but faster than a lot of the other ones that I had trouble with.
Mhm.
And so because we had maybe higher energy, uh, sorry, it's my cat. I appreciated this one kind of one of the top like with a higher echelon of songs
Mhm.
because it has that sort of it has more to kind of bite into because it had more energy. And who knows? I mean, it's like writing a song in the 2020s when your band came out in the 70s, like 50 years later of like writing an influence kind of behind your music. It's the music still sounds like the same band, but it
Mhm.
just felt like a thicker, more inspired version, a more inspired version, with more like with just more time behind it. So I think a
Mhm.
lot of that I kind of liked as well. So I kind of like this one. It wasn't gonna go on like my playlist.
Sorry,
But
I'm just laughing at your censoring your cat.
I tried to hide her butthole. So
I know what you're doing.
but I did like this one. I thought that it had a little bit more like more to it. It was a faster tempo song. And yeah, I mean Joan Jett coming out with albums faster than My Chem coming out with MCR5, like,
You know,
maybe when they've
you
been around
have
for
to take it. You had to take it there, huh?
maybe when they've been around for 50 years, they'll have a new album, so we'll see. But
Yeah, I didn't have a lot to say about this one either. I didn't, other than Bad Reputation. You good?
that's her fucking tail, yeah.
Other than Bad Reputation, I didn't actually look up any like when any of these songs were made. Um, so it's interesting because I did note that I like her voice a lot in this one. And I said it's matured a bit, like her voice specifically has matured a bit. It's like a little bit smoother. She doesn't have as much of the grit. It's a little bit deeper and kind of like more. It's got more of that full sound that I was kind of talking about. So I was able to kind of tell that it wasn't of that time frame just from the sound of it, which is interesting to hear that it came out in 2023. Um, but it still does, to your point, like it still does have the Joan Jett sound.
Yeah.
So you still kind of get that overall sort of driving guitar punky sound with that maturity. I didn't really have anything. I didn't think that the song really had anything deep to say. But again, I put this as a certified bop, 8 out of 10.
Certified Bob. All right.
Certified bop.
Next one.
Fake Friends. I guess I'll start with this one. So I wanted to like this one. There was like a weird distorted like telephone sound in there that was kind of off-putting to me. Um, some of the lyrics didn't rhyme that well, and it was like throwing me. And I think it's, again, it's simple. It's a simple song. There's some hard truths in it, like about, fake friends and how you put, all of your time and energy and then they don't give it back. And it's, better not to have those friends. But probably like one of my lesser liked songs this week. But kind of an earworm at the end. Like I closed my laptop and the end of this song where it repeats over and over and over again. I kept hearing it in my head. But I gave this one a 6 out of 10 because it was like just okay for me.
Yeah, this was just fine. I didn't have a lot to say. I did appreciate the addition in the second verse. There was like in the second verse we changed it up with some added harmonies, like vocal harmonies, which just added some diversity in the vocals because there's not tons of harmonizing generally, at least in the songs that were selected for us this week. They're straightforward. They don't have a lot of dynamics. They all kind of have they have the same amount of like the same vocal quality. They have the same, like, they sit in the same place in her chest. And we don't have a lot of like added harmonies. So this was kind of a fun surprise. I heard that come in and I was like, oh, okay, that's something different. But yeah, like once again, like I'm trying not to be overly critical because I'm like, okay, well, like a song about like fake friends, like, okay, like, you're a fake friend. Like that's how many times has that been done? But I'm remembering like, once again, like some of these songs are 50 years old. Like every artist has done a song about like how like being a fake friend or being a poser, like maybe not artist, but that's being fake or being a poser, or like being, whatever, like those are things that we've had in our vernacular for a million years. So that's just sort of like kind of like a old hat concept, but it wasn't old hat back then. Like that maybe wasn't what music was like. Like we weren't talking about like, we were, our relationships not always being like saccharine and perfect and wonderful and my people and like, so, am I really a connoisseur of like this era's music to know like no, but, so I'm trying to be kind of fair to it because I'm like, the song sounds just sort of like middling. Like I don't really connect with anything in it. There's nothing in like the hook that's really getting me. There's nothing really revolutionary in the lyrics. But I'm looking at all of this through a lens of living in the 2020s right now, right? Yeah. With all the music that I know, and trying to be generous with the fact that that's not what was in their landscape musically when they were writing. So I'm trying to be fair about it, but like I didn't really care for this one very much. Yeah, unfortunately.
That's fair. Lie to Me.
Lie to Me was released in 1991. And I looked it up because it felt different and it felt like an early 90s song, because early 90s indie, early 90s rock has a very specific sound to it. And it had like kind of like an interesting intro, but really for me, it was kind of another middling song. And I will say that I've mentioned it a few times, but this was the first time when I was listening to the track list that oh wait, that's not true. What I'm about to say is relevant to the next song, but they both have the same kind of qualities where once again, I'm having the problem with the tempo. It's actually different that it really kind of registered to me, but the complaint is the same. And I've already said it that I really struggled with why do so many of these songs, they're like bothering me. Like I started to feel like anxious and I'm not like, I'm like a worrying kind of person, but my anxiety doesn't really live like bodily in me, where I kind of feel like a lot of physical, I just don't feel like the somatic effects of anxiety very often. But as I was listening to a lot of this, I felt anxious. Like I was like getting irritable and I kept having to turn the music off, do something else. And it kept coming back. And I'm like, why am I having this weird reaction to so many of these songs? And I was like, I think it's because I'm standing on what I think is the edge of something that's going to happen. Like we're going to get a big change. We're going to get a key change. We're going to get something dynamic in a bridge. We're going to get a tempo change. We're going to get a time signature change. Something's going to do something. but every song we started at what was one level, and I perceived to be at that same level the entire time. And that's,
Mhm.
I think we aren't built to perceive songs that way. At least now there's like a rhythm and a structure to how
Mhm.
songs kind of have this structure. We have a key change, we have like a build, we have something we're waiting for, and then we kind of get that kind of resolution. And so many of these songs, I was like, I wasn't getting that build moment. And so a lot of this was building, and I'm like, why do I feel restless? And I think it's my like internal like reaction to not getting these big kind of moments that I was expecting and hoping for.
Mhm.
And I think a part of that was also like the tempo was just too, once again, it was too fast to be a ballad and too slow to be like an energetic kind of punk song, in my
Mhm.
opinion. So I kind of felt that way about Lie to Me. And like I said, this is going to be very much almost what I'm going to say about the next one as well, because I felt the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's probably a little too wordy to say that I wish it was faster or something.
It's really interesting. And I want to come back to that. I'm going to talk about my what I thought about the song for a second, but so again, I kind of noted that she's got a more mature voice in this one. So I did note that okay, it must be like not one of the 80s songs because it does. It's kind of mellow. I loved this song a lot, actually. This was one of my favorites. It was a different vibe and it was a little less punk, I think.
Mhm.
And almost went to more along the lines of like what I'm going to call kind of like a Fleetwood Mac sound,
Okay.
where I could picture kind of more of like twirling in the forest with it. Um, which in general is interesting because I don't actually like Fleetwood Mac all that much, but
Hey, okay. That's
but
fine.
I really liked this one. A little
You like
side
the
note
vibe.
that
You like the feeling of Fleetwood Mac. You like what it's
I like what it
evoking.
evokes, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of their music is, there's a couple of songs, but I find them a little boring. But so every time I read the title though, I just kept thinking of Frank saying lie to me instead of trust me.
I thought that's wait, I thought that
And I was like,
I thought that
especially like
too.
when you read through the lyrics, like I was like in the context of those lyrics and I'm like, damn, this is painful.
Lie to me. I was like, wait a minute. I forgot to I thought that too. I was like, that reminds me of but I didn't write it down because I was like, bitch, like, get over it. Not everything has to remind you of My Chemical Romance. And so I didn't write
Look,
it down, but I'm glad that you thought.
everything is a My Chemical Romance reference. Okay,
If
okay,
you try hard enough, anything leads you back.
everything
All
is.
roads lead back. But
Everything is a My Chemical Romance reference. So yeah, like I said, I really like this one. But you said something that I kind of want to go back to. And I wanted to ask, did you listen to a lot of oldies? Like, do you listen to a lot of music from like the
no,
50s, 60s,
I
70s?
I'm no, not regularly because like
Okay.
I know I know some of like the big classic like oldie songs, but like generally no, I generally don't like oldies.
Mm,
The only bands if I'm ever listening to like older music, it's really almost always like the Beatles and Queen. That's kind of like the only
mhm,
older music that I really like and listen to. Um, because I just don't sort of like the sound of oldies and classic rock.
mm,
So maybe for people that really like that genre of music, like this is kind of like your bread and butter. But
yeah.
it's never been a genre that I've really ever connected with. Even like, growing up with my dad, like when I was a kid and he would listen to like my only thing my dad would ever listen to actually was Kiss. So I grew up with a lot of Kiss. And
Mhm,
but even now listening to that now, like in my older age, I'm just sort of like, what was so great about this? Like, and I know that's like
yeah.
blasphemous, but I'm like, it just doesn't besides remembering like my dad I'm lying, my dad listened to Kiss and Meatloaf. Those were his artists.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's kind of the only real experience I didn't grow up in a household we were listening to like, I don't know, like we weren't listening to AC/DC, we weren't listening to the Rolling Stones or anything like that growing up, so I don't have a lot of knowledge in my catalog. Like, was that something that you were really into?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, pretty much between the age of like 9 to 13 or 14, I
Uh-huh.
listened to almost exclusively oldies.
Okay.
I did not like, and I was young, but I did not like late 80s and early 90s music. Um,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
it wasn't really until the Spice Girls and and Hanson came out that I started listening to current
Hell
music,
yeah. Hell
current,
yeah.
current music. And so it was very much And even then, through most of like my junior high school age, I listened to a lot of oldie stations. So I wonder if that's why, like, to
Yeah,
me, I don't maybe necessarily have that same expectations that songs have to go somewhere. Like, it's sort of like, oh, okay, so I listened to this and I was like, this song is what it is. And it's sort of like, you listen to, you mentioned the Beatles, but like their earlier albums didn't really go anywhere. This is very much kind of evocative of
which
like
I
their
don't
early
listen
albums,
to.
like
Which
Hard
I
Day's
don't
Night.
listen to. Like if I'm
Yeah,
listening to any of the Beatles, I'm listening to like Abbey Road or the White Album.
yeah,
Those are probably like the two that I listen to the most. I don't connect with their early stuff.
yeah,
Like the weirder, more experimental music,
yeah,
like that's sort of the Beatles that I love, right? So that's
yeah.
actually it's funny that you point that out because I'm not a fan of like early. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, you haven't mentioned like you didn't really connect with the 90s. 90s alternative is like my favorite genre of all time. Like next to like anything kind of super modern, like I'm always listening to like I'm always shuffling like, on my Spotify or on like my, my Alexa, um like 90s indie alternative
Mhm.
like rock music of the day. Like one of my top artists is like the Goo Goo Dolls. Like I'm listening to them all the time. I'm listening to Matchbox 20 all the time. Like I love
I
like that.
hate
I
Goo
was
Goo
like,
Dolls.
that's
I hate them
crazy
so
to
much.
me. That's unconscionable. I listen to the Goo Goo Dolls all the time. So like it's just sort of
Yeah,
funny like yeah, like
I
what our taste inspires and
I
like
will
what we like in music.
always laugh at the fact that we became friends because we love the same band when we have almost nothing else musically in common. Like
I know.
nothing.
No. Rob, thank
Uh,
you. Rob
Matchbox
Thomas.
20 Matchbox 20 is good. I will give you that. They were good, but oh
Yourself for
man.
Someone Like You is one of the best albums of all time. Like anyway. So that's the one. If you Google the cover, you'll recognize the
Yeah,
cover.
yeah,
Like, um,
the album. The pinkish one with like the circle. Wasn't that them? Everyone's agreeing. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
it's the picture of the guy with like the hat on.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on.
That's what was I thinking of?
Hold
Maybe I'm
on.
thinking of another band. Yeah. No, no, I know that one. Yeah. But yeah, Matchbox 20
Oh.
is good. But
But
anyways,
anyway,
so I think
so
that's
we were
probably
talking.
why, interestingly enough, I don't feel that same way about this because I don't have that expectation. Like
Yeah,
it's nice if a song builds and it goes somewhere. And that's one of the things that I love the most about my chem, but it doesn't need to for me. I can just kind of like
yeah.
take it for what it is. Um, but yeah. Okay, so that was Lie to Me. Different. Do you want to go? Is it my turn or yours?
It doesn't matter. I can go again. But no, because honestly, it really what a lot of Lie to Me, like my thoughts about that was really honestly, I wrote that for different, but they really share a lot of that. This one came out in 2013, so also another song that just like it was interesting. I know you kind of picked a lot of these at random, but you're kind of picking songs from like every area of song we have songs from like the 70s, 80s, we have 90s, the 2010s, 2020s. So we kind of got to get a sense of like their change over time. But no, but this is also this is actually the first one that I was like, why do I feel so restless? Like I don't feel like it's doing it. Like I'm missing something.
Mhm.
And that's whenever I nailed down that I was having problems with the tempo, the song not developing or growing in any kind of way. So this one, like I said, I was getting really anxious and restless listening. By the time I got here, I had to take a break, so I didn't really have a great time with this one. So I'm sure you really loved it. So I'd love to hear your positive take on this one.
I don't actually have a positive take on this one.
Oh no!
I struggled a little bit. Okay, so first of all, I wrote, this is like an autistic anthem because like you read the words and it's talking about like you ooze difference, you live your life outside the box and you blow off all the empty talk and they focus on the things that you're not. And it's kind of like this feeling that you're so different from everyone else and you feel kind of like in this weird place. And I think that it was just I read the lyrics and I was like, wow, this kind of like describes the autistic experience. Um, but musically, all I could hear was there was like a cowbell noise, like a very like continual like cowbell. But it was just like to your point, like this song, I didn't like the tempo that much on this one.
Yeah,
For the song itself. And so that cowbell sound was really like taking me out. So I gave it 6 out of 10. It was not my favorite.
Okay, fair. If you're blue.
If you're blue, I said, huh, I wonder if this one came before Fake Friends, because it almost sounds like the prequel, because it's like, oh, I'm going to be there for you and I'm going to take care if you need me. And then the next song would be like, just kidding, they suck and they took advantage of you. Um, so I think it would be a funny story if it like went in that direction. And
Okay.
then I put,
I know when this came out because I looked it up. So
okay.
I'm
Um,
excited.
and I said, oh, it's got another Ray style solo. It's a fun song. I gave it 8 out of 10, but I didn't really have much else to say.
Mhm. This came out in 2023. It was another super new song.
Okay,
Um,
so it did not come out before Fake Friends.
yeah. Maybe she just got with the new friends.
It is a
Like
memory.
she grew up. She's like, this is the new me. Like,
She's
surrounded
got rid of
myself
all
by
of her fake friends and now
and
just the good ones.
it's an evolution in sound. Yes.
Yes.
Um, I appreciated this just like the other one, like the other 2023 song. Like I also kind of liked a little bit more, and this one I also appreciated having. It was a step up in the tempo. It felt a little faster. I had more to bite onto, so I
Mhm.
appreciated that one. Still nothing that I loved. It was like a better Joan Jett song, but not something that I really loved. But I did appreciate that it was committing to something. It was going in a direction. It wasn't just in that middle tempo kind of restless range for me. It was actually committing and doing something a little bit more. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I Hate Myself for Loving You. I'm pretty sure I already knew this song, but maybe I did. Like I listened to it, I was like, oh, I think I recognize this one. I don't know from where or why. So I was kind of coming in with I think I already kind of had appreciated that for that way.
Mhm.
But yeah, this one as well. I noticed that it was another kind of like straightforward approach to like lyrics and composition.
Mhm.
Um, Once again, the lyrics were very kind of straightforward. Wasn't rife with like anything you can really kind of analyze. Um, like repetition in the lyrics, like
Mhm.
very like lacking kind of metaphor or nuance. Um, which I said, those are things that I like in music, right? So I know that it's sort of like the complaint that I'm giving over and over, but it's because those are things that I like in my music. And so when I'm listening to a string of songs that don't have those qualities, I'm going to have the same kind of complaints.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a straightforward song. If you just kind of want something straightforward, then but I just wish there was something more going on once again. So yeah, my
Yeah.
take. I think that I knew it, but like, maybe I don't know, maybe I didn't. But I thought that it felt familiar in some way. Like whether another song has since like evoked it or covered it, maybe that, but not sure. Or maybe it was in a movie. I don't know. But,
Yeah, so that's kind of funny because I did not know this song, but it sounded like exactly like another song, and I could like in my head, like I could sing the song and I could not place what it was. It was not
okay.
the song, but there was some song that like either borrowed from it or sampled it or something, and I could never figure it out, and it's gonna drive me mad. Um, but it definitely sounded like another song. So it's interesting that you and I had that kind of same experience of like,
Yeah.
this is so familiar, but I definitely had not
It's
heard
like when
this
you have,
song.
it's like when you're one of those people that has one of those faces.
Yeah.
And it's like people always say it's like that song. It's probably something. It probably lies in like it just probably has like a well-known like chord progression that's used a lot in like classic rock or pop punk of the day,
Most likely.
and like it just might be like have you ever seen those videos on like TikTok where people will play like a chord like a series of chords on the guitar and they'll
Hmm.
sing the lyrics of multiple songs
Yeah.
because all these songs share the same chord progressions.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe it's that, but yeah, it's interesting that you kind of also.
But I could hum the lyrics to a different song. Then I knew this different song, but and the lyrics, like where the lyrics would go, didn't necessarily match, but I
Uh-huh.
could not tell you what the lyrics were, and I tried to Google things. I think that there's some sort of lyric that it talks about like rhythm and blues in it, because that
Mhm.
kept coming into my mind, but I
That's
could
really
not
fun.
place it, and it was
No,
literally driving me insane. But otherwise, I said, this one to me sounded really dated, like kind of where the other ones sort of have they sound dated in a way that is timeless. I know that sounds like it doesn't go together, but there's certain
Yeah.
ones where it doesn't necessarily sound like, I don't know, but this one just sounded very 80s. And I think it's something about like the way that the voice is mixed and also the way she's kind of almost like very like monotone in it.
Okay.
And it's almost to me like her voice is acting almost more as rhythm as opposed to melody, where it's like kind of like staccato, 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 you know, melody, like just monotone, like kind of all the way
Okay.
through. I did like the choruses a little better. Funny enough, like the way that she would go like away, ay, 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 ay. It reminds me of the song from Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. Wait, which
And I
song?
really like that song. So, um,
Like the songs that they played for the talent show?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Or it's not a talent show. What is it? It's like a showcase.
It's their like showcase thing or whatever.
Wait, that's a great song. Wait, what's that
It's a
song? Wait,
great
hold on.
song. I think
Wait,
it's literally called "Take Me Away."
is it?
I don't think Lindsay Lohan actually sings that one though. I think it's some other band that like did the music for it, but it's a great song. Um, so the way
Take
that she
Me
did the
Away.
"Oh way, yeah, 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 yeah" part reminded me of that.
I
But
have to look to it when we're done.
okay,
Um,
you do it.
anyway, that's funny. I'll look it up
Um,
because I know that song, but I'm like, that lyric doesn't sound familiar to me.
yeah.
I
So
love
yeah,
that movie.
yeah. Hi, Holly.
Okay.
Um, okay, change the world. So I said, it's a really timely song right now. Um, Again, it's simple. We're not writing poetry here. No interpretations needed. It's very straightforward. Again, I liked the sort of Ray style solo. And again, I said, hey, this is a bop, but again, very simple. So I had not a
Yeah.
lot to say about that.
Yeah, so this one I also said like there were some fun guitar solo moments in here. But I also said like it's the simple and repetitive lyrics that, are kind of once again at the scene of the crime. But that's also what makes like the punk genre.
Yeah,
Like that's not the point of this genre of music. And so
especially
I'm
at that
also
time.
yeah, I'm also trying to be like charitable with that, right? Like, is it my
Mhm.
taste today? No. But like it used to be like that was kind of like, but I will say, right? Though, like we're talking about of the day, but this song came out in 2006, right? So this song came out
Yeah.
at the same time as like, it's so crazy when you think of the landscape of music. So like,
Yeah.
oh, this was like the heyday of like Evanescence, Muse, The Black
Mhm.
Parade came out, The Killers, Green Day, right? Like this was, not that they have to be those bands, but when you think, it's just interesting to kind of think about all these bands kind of existing and Joan Jett still coming out with music. Like this music came out in that genre of music. Those
Mhm.
were like their musical peers, like all those songs, those on those albums.
Yeah.
That was just kind of like a fun, like it's just interesting to see kind of where these songs fell in time. So I will say also like we had these kind of simple new, but like even the punk bands that were really popular of the day, like if we're talking about like the Green Days of the world, Green Day was out like that. I mean,
Mhm.
that was like America's punk band, right?
Yeah.
And you know, yes, can we be charitable because like we don't have a lot of complexity in our lyrics? Sure, but like plenty of bands were writing, interesting enough music, you know, after,
But
decades after
I
President
think
the
it's
Function came out.
different if you've been making music for 20 years and you've kind of developed a sound and you know, it's within their wheelhouse. So even though that's the
Yeah,
same music that's like 2006, I think it's still very much the music that they've been making. And
sure.
so I don't think that they've like, yes, they're peers, but they're also not. They're still
Yeah.
kind of like the aunts and uncles on the scene, and they've been making this style of music, and it's the scene that has changed around them and not them changing.
Mhm. Sure.
So
Um, but I also, once again, there's another song that I really like, thought Joan's vocals were really great on. Like they had a lot of that grit. They had a lot of that, very like the Distillers sound, which
mhm.
which I think the Distillers were coming. Like I'm gonna look it up, but I think that they kind of this is around their kind of like early 2000s, kind of when they really like kind of started. Like now I need to look up how like when they kind of became a band. Okay. So they were like an active band starting in 98.
Mm.
So when did they kind of like Their first album came out in 2000. So they were writing music kind of like in this like these mostly. I mean, they're still like they're still active, right? Yeah, they're still active.
Mhm.
But like their biggest kind of like time was the early 2000s. So like this is like the time where like the embroidery dally was coming up and the distillers and like had Joan Jett to look at for her like for inspiration. Um, and so she had like a lot of those vocals in this track specifically, which I did appreciate because I do think that she really like I think the lyrics aren't the strong point of this band or of Joan in general, but I love her voice, like the actual quality
Yeah.
of her voice. It's probably my favorite piece of all these songs if I was going to point the arrow at something.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed it in this song too. Um, Blood is Pain is the last one. I'll kind of conclude on this one.
Okay.
So by the time I got to this last song, I said to myself, I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with the tempos here because I continue to have this problem. I said they all feel the same. They all feel like and then that developed into I think they all have the same BPM,
Hmm.
and I'm having more of this restless feeling. And so I look it up, and and truly, almost all the songs that I had the biggest problems with, they all had the same BPM. 122, 126, 120, 118, 124. And the songs that I appreciated were like 206, 155, 150. Like they committed to something with a little bit more energy. And
Hmm.
so I think it was just that all these songs were just in that gray area for me where I feel like they didn't commit to any of the directions specifically. Um, Not that anyone has to cater to my taste, but outside of like what I kind of prefer in music, I think anything in that middle range is just kind of tough for me.
Hmm.
Um, which I've even talked to you about that, like certain like my chem songs, so they kind of fall in this in between tempo. It's hard for me to
Hmm.
kind of know what to do with it.
Yeah.
It's not something exclusively being prejudicial towards for Joan Jett. I think I kind of feel like that way about a lot of music. So that's
Hmm.
kind of I finally got to the end of the tracks. And I was like, I'm gonna figure this out, and I looked it up and I took notes and I was like, I'm gonna actually look at the actual like the data behind these songs. I'm gonna figure out what they all have in common, and it was all basically that. So, but yeah, middling. I was by this time like I was just more of like the same like repetition of lyrics. I just kind of grown restless with. I was wanting something more and something different.
Hmm.
But I really never got there with this song or this band. Um, I appreciate the like the work that they did to create and build a genre and to create a space and force a space for like female musicians, which were and continue to still be in short supply. And so I'm never gonna fault Joan Jett for putting in her place in music, but I think it's just not my genre, and I think that's just a me thing because I'm she's doing something right. She's been making music successfully for 50 years, so and I'm not. I haven't done anything for 50 years.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying though about the tempo. I also have a tempo that I can't stand. This is not it, so our tempos are different. But like my husband, for example, he loves Michelle Branch. Loves Michelle Branch. I cannot stand Michelle
Yeah.
Branch. I
Oh, I like her
all of
originally.
her music falls into that range of like not fast enough, not slow enough. Yeah,
Okay.
Val saying Scarecrow was her tempo crisis. And it can make or break a song. So it's interesting again that we both have a problem with tempo, but our tempos are completely
Yeah.
set differently.
I see what you mean about the scarecrow tempo. It's kind of it is a tough tempo
It's a
because it's
little
like
too slow for me.
you really can't dance to it, but it's also
Yeah,
not really like a ballad, right? Like
it's
if I
like
had to,
a
I considered it like a My Chem ballad, but a lot of their ballads aren't really ballads. Like Disenchanted also is that way for me, where it's like,
mhm,
is this a ballad? I mean, I guess,
tempo
right? And
value.
so
Yes, that's a great term for it.
that's a great.
It's
I
a
don't know.
great term.
Did you come up with that on
But
your own?
all of
Or
our valleys are slightly different locations.
yeah, but that's a perfect way to put it. Like, and it's not really like the song itself is bad. It's just like I don't know what to do with it, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I have a very unserious take on this song.
okay,
I said,
that's a great way to end it. I'm happy with that.
this is a song for the masochists, kind of a House of Wolves ish.
Okay,
And I said, someone has absolutely written Frank Puppy Play to this. And that's
shut
where I
the
ended it.
fuck, shut the fuck up. We're not supposed to talk about that
I'm
on
sorry.
Brad's account.
I said it was an unserious take.
That's not. We're not supposed to talk about that stuff on the Rats account. This is a
Sorry,
professional
sorry,
account. We are a part of a nonprofit. Okay.
sorry. We're live. We're live.
That's so funny. All of your 5 friends in this chat, you guys, that doesn't leave this. That doesn't leave this chat. Okay.
It was the joke was there. I had to make it. I'm sorry.
Nobody heard
It's
that.
funny.
Nobody heard that. So let's look at. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure Sunny Day Real Estate is next.
Yes, I
I'm
believe so.
excited. I'm excited about this one. I will say I'm not like a Sunny Day Real Estate like connoisseur, but I've heard enough of their songs to know that I'm going to enjoy this week, and I'm going to enjoy having the opportunity to sit down and listen to them because I like, sometimes it's nice to be like I have the task of getting to know a band.
Yeah.
AOP is also part of a nonprofit. We're just two
I love you
nonprofit,
all. Thank you.
two nonprofit queens supporting one another. Okay, so but no, I like the task. One thing I do like about this every week, even though it sometimes is be like, hey guys, sit down, listen to this music. I really appreciate the task, the work involved in becoming familiar with a new artist or band or a genre or an era that I've never really listened to. And learning that I like things or that I don't like things. And I think we've talked about this. There's a lot of value in, this weekly. There's as much value in finding an artist that you really love and something that you don't, because it's just adding more to like our repertoire, being to explain why certain sounds drive us and some don't. So, but I'm really excited to actually have the task of getting more familiar with Sunny Day Real Estate, because what I know about them already, I think I'm going to really like this week. And I don't know, I'm curious to see if you're going to hate them as a result. Like, do you know them well enough?
So I know that they are one of the bands that are touted as real emo. And so
I love like the Midwest.
I think that would be really interesting because it can go either way for me.
Okay.
But I love like I love like Saves the Day and Jimmy Eat World and stuff, which is interesting that you say that you think you're going to really like it when you hated Jimmy Eat World when we listened to them. And I would say that like those two bands are the two that I hear are grouped the most. And so I'm going to be really interested to see if your prediction that you think that you're going to like them is true, and how things are going to
go. Sorry,
you good?
But
okay.
no, but I mean, like, see, like, we're talking about like, original emo and like Midwest emo. Like, I've always kind of grouped this band. Maybe I'm wrong. I've always kind of grouped this band with like American football. Am I wrong about that? Because I like American.
Think so.
I like American football. That's like math rock and Midwest emo. I think that's kind of like where American football lies, and I think that's kind of where Sunny Day Real Estate falls. But also, once we talked about this, some overlap with my other. I mean, anyone that knows me, my other favorite band is Hot Mulligan. I know that you don't like Hot Mulligan, right? But that's also kind of like that's
this
that
is all like way earlier though.
Like, oh yeah,
Sunny Day Real Estate is like 90s.
Yes. Yeah. But talking about the same kind of like umbrella, right? Like it's going to obviously change because like they're a really, really recent band. It's like an evolution. They're like the grandparents of like Hot Mulligan and like Ben Quaid and like a lot of the bands that are kind of coming out of that scene right now. But anyway,
Jimmy Eat World is more pop punk than emo. That is not the case, in my opinion. And kind of what I've seen in general, again, people talking about. I wouldn't put, like, as somebody who listened to, and it probably depends on the timing, but like as somebody who listened to, like Newfound Glory and, Green Day, Blink, things like that, like I wouldn't put Jimmy Eat World in that same category. And I've kind of always just heard Jimmy Eat World grouped more up into, like, again, kind of more classic, like emo, like second wave emo. But I could very much be wrong. I don't claim to be an expert on all of these. I just listen to a lot of pop punk, and I wouldn't have put Jimmy Eat World in there personally.
I'm a little ambivalent either way because, like I said, I've seen Jimmy Eat World live multiple times, and I like some of the hits, but like the other songs, like kind of in like deeper down in their discography,
Mhm.
not. I'm just very middling. I'm like, nah, it's fine, but I'm not
Yeah.
like really connected to it. And I can't exactly be the tiebreaker here because I can find reasons for both. But if I was any more committed to Jimmy Eat World, I might have a better take. But
Yeah.
no, I'm excited about this one. I know enough and I've heard enough to think that I'm really gonna like it. Once again, we're talking about 90s. Once again, we're talking about like this is my era of music that I really like. 90s indie, 90s rock, 90s like
Mhm.
emo, right? Like so. I think I'm gonna like this, and so we'll see if maybe just the only few songs that I've heard are the only ones that I will like after we listen to all of them because I don't know what
Mhm.
the actual pool selection is gonna be.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping myself I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic on this one and hope for the best. So we'll see.
Okay. I have no idea. I have not heard, I don't think, or I know of. I probably have, but I don't know of any songs that I've heard of them. So we'll see. It could
But
go either way for me.
I'm gonna look them up just so we can kind of get a little bit of a prologue, and then we'll kind of end. And this will
No,
be the
I don't want to look
neat.
them up. I like to be surprised.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
okay. Then I guess we'll go. And I'm
Okay.
gonna go watch some videos with the family before everyone goes to bed.
All right.
Um, and then I have a half day work tomorrow. I was off 2 days. I was off Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday's half day, and then we're on to the weekend. So I'm
Nice.
excited to get to it.
You know why we finished in just over an hour is because it was 2/3 of us, and we normally take an hour and a half. So that's that worked. But thanks everyone for joining. That was fun.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us.
Yes.
And yeah, next time, hopefully, we'll have Trevor. He's just unwell today. And we'll probably be back to unintentionally an hour and a half, 90-minute lives. So,
I don't think we can stop ourselves from talking that much. So
and we tried really hard. Like, I think we
yeah,
really were like,
we
so.
were really on top of things. So
I know.
but yeah.
All right. We're
All
going to
right.
call it a cool hour. I'll see you guys all next Thursday for Sunny Day Real Estate.
Yes. Oh, we can feel the
We
wave.
can see you. We can see you.
Emotionally, the waves are there.
Oh, I can see you, Val. I can see all you actually. So when you guys wave, I can see you.
All right. Bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.